a femicide crisis. Even that's a word I'd
Actually,
never
we
heard
need to
about.
define femicide as well.
I'd never heard that word in my life. I just heard it this year. Since this thing started, and I'm like, what is going on?
I don't think it existed. Because if you Google it, it's not like, like you can Google gate.
Yeah.
And it will come like, but if you Google femicide, it's not looking like it's been there. It's like somebody just put it
Actually,
up.
femicide as a term describes the most extreme form of gender-based violence. In 2022, the UN registered 89,000 cases of intentional killings of women and girls worldwide. 55% of these murders are committed by former intimate partners or perpetrators from the victim's own environment. Once again, director will have that.
You see, if you Google the day it's come, when you Google the word gate, it would come like that. So that's why you notice it's like, it's not like a word that has been there.
So do you agree? Is there something like that from what is defined?
I mean, from the definition of how it is, definitely it is, because that's exactly what we've been experiencing for the past, I don't know how many, it's been weeks of just one story after another every day. So if we're going by what Chim has read and what is being shown there, then yes, there is a femicide crisis, a very big one. Yes, Zola.
I actually watched a video yesterday on TikTok, and some lady was saying that according to police, 70 women have been killed. So I think, yes, there is femicide.
Let me give my point of view before Chim Ingilias. I don't think it's femicide. I just think it's a criminal. This criminality has become like worse this year. Even we were talking with Chim earlier, there's a guy who has killed someone in Fort Worth, Texas. A naked man killed
I've
a
seen that
delivery driver.
story.
And he was asking me what's wrong with Kenyans. And my thought process is, I just think these like stress levels are gone to another level where people are just acting out. And these are criminals. It's not only women who are being killed, even men are being killed. That is what people are forgetting.
In fact, normally when people tell you statistics and they say, 70 women have been killed, you should probably ask, versus how many men? Versus how many men? You would be very surprised to realize men are oftentimes twice as likely to get killed than women. So do we have a word for that? Is there a mascucide?
There's nothing like that.
You see, now the thing the problem I have with you men now is because this thing has come out. I'm sorry that we are not being told about the men that are being killed. We are sorry. That's not on us.
Okay.
But the fact that we are being told and we can see and we can hear about the women being killed, it's not a fight. Stop coming to say, you guys don't know how many men are being killed as opposed to the women. It's not a fight, honey. Calm down. Sawa, they're being killed. And that's what I'm saying. I'm sorry that at this particular time, right now, when we are talking about this, it's happening to women and we can see about the women. Now, when it's time, like, even if you guys want to say, okay, now, also guys need to understand there's a crisis in Kenya, there's also men. Show us. We'll fight for equal, all of them. So you see, the thing I'm having a problem with is even the way here Chim is saying, we've come up and we are saying 70 women is like, as opposed to that, men. So I'm like, it's not a fight.
So, I will say this. What you've said is not entirely factual, because last year there were 2 or 3 very high-profile cases of deaths, suspicious deaths involving men. One of the cases involved a rally driver, and it's still under investigation. So I'm not going to say the name because it's still under investigation. There was no outcry. Companies refused to drop this individual.
They did.
No, they did not.
The babe was dropped.
No, she was not dropped. And that was a huge sticking point, because that's a year or slightly more after a guy like Shafi Weru was dropped for giving an opinion. In this case, we are actually in a situation where it's a murder investigation that's ongoing. They refuse to drop someone. Are
you sure?
Yes.
You can check it out.
Another instance involved a lady who was married to a foreign man. And that guy's family came back and said, the victim himself kept telling us, not just us, politicians and police, if anything happens to me, it is my estranged wife. Nothing came of that. Nothing came of that. Another instance, this one, however, was intimate partner violence in a homosexual setting. And that one triggered guys, because when word went round, the first thing that all the feminists in Kenya did was blame men. And for me, a big problem I have with this situation is the fact that, it cannot always be when we have what you are saying is very true. We have a criminal culture. In Kenya, we have a criminal culture. It cannot always be that when there are crimes, we begin to say, let us divide them based off of genders. Because when you do that, you put me in a situation where you say, cool, you guys don't really care about when it happens to men. So why should I care about your situation?
But why aren't you fighting for yourselves? Because we are at this point, when you see this thing about the women coming out, the people who are coming on Twitter, even the match that is happening about the women, Mimi, I see anything about femicide, I will repost it. I will talk about it because I'm fighting for my women. You want us to sit there and then we fight for you. We will
Actually,
fight
Tim,
for
I have an
you.
answer for
But
this.
why
Tim,
aren't you
spoke about
fighting
it.
for yourself?
No.
I have a very good answer for this. Men know at the bottom, at the root of it, that mwanaume ni kujisimamia.
No one's come and save you.
No one is coming to save you. That is one of the reasons why most men, if you see, it's very hard to find a woman who's been done for mob justice, even though she has done the same thing as a man. Today, about 3 or 4 men were done for mob justice, and they were killed. Women are normally protected by society. That's why it's very hard for you to find a woman, even if you go out in the streets and a woman starts being beaten, women will come and cover her.
Not just women.
Even men.
men.
Men actually.
So how can we then go back and say, if you yourself can admit, even men would come through and try to save this mama, how can you then come back and say, those same men who make up that same society
Yes.
are targeting women?